Katie's grandfather, Tom.
I'm Katie's stepmom, Lisa.
I'm Sue, the grandma.
I'm Pat. I'm Katie's father.
And he'll be filming.
The odds of you being you are astronomical. First, your parents had to be born. Then, out of everyone they ever met, they had to decide to talk to each other, then decide to go on a date, and then ultimately decide to get married. That's not even the half of it. Out of the 300 to 400 eggs released during ovulation during a woman's fertile lifetime, and the 40 million to 1.2 billion sperm released during just once, one egg and one sperm had to meet. Then you, as a little zygote, had to survive the body's natural defenses as well as external threats. The odds of you making it to a fetus development stage were very slim. So it's amazing that with just one choice, the vigorous fight to survive could be for nothing. These are the sources that I use to support my presentation. I use procon.org, nih.gov, emedicinehealth.com, clevelandclinic.org, mentalfloss.com, newyorktimes.com, psychcentral.com, gallup.com, and ncbi.com. So my name is Katie Fitzpatrick, and my intent today is to persuade you to reconsider the common pro-abortion beliefs. The three that I'll be covering today are these three here. The belief that personhood begins after birth and not at conception, the belief that fetuses are incapable of feeling pain during most abortion procedures, and the belief that women who receive abortions are less likely to suffer mental health issues than those who are denied abortions. The first that I'll be covering is the question of personhood. The belief here is that personhood begins after birth and not at conception. I believe this to be wildly inaccurate. Abortions can be performed up until the very moment before birth. And so this belief is based off of the idea that as fetuses, they are not independent thinking individuals. But since abortions can be performed up until the very moment before birth, how is it that one moment in time can differentiate between humanity and just existing? I would like to share with you the different aspects of development on a weekly stage. Through abortion, we are taking away someone's right to life before they even have the opportunity to fight for it. At 5 weeks old, the embryo's heart, brain, and spinal cord all begin to develop. In weeks 6 to 7, the brain has developed into 5 parts, and the heart beats at a regular rhythm now. By week 10, toes, nails, and facial features become distinct, and the embryo is now classified as a fetus. In weeks 11 to 15, those nails have grown longer, genitals appear, and the baby can move and stretch. In weeks 15 to 18, the baby can now begin to make sucking motions. And in week 19 to 21, the baby can hear, and the mother can feel the baby's first movements. This little person can be called just that because it already contains the DNA of two people. By broadcasting the idea that simply because they are still in the womb means that they're not a person, makes our society very detached. Maybe this is why abortions are so prevalent. Many medical abortions are the way that people go now. A mother can simply take a series of pills, and over a period of time, the baby will be stripped from her. It becomes a mindless process, and it's designed to be so that the mother doesn't realize the full extent of what she's doing. This detachment also gives way to many surgical abortions. One that is very prevalent up until 12 weeks is that of dilation and curettage. In this, the cervix is dilated, and after the cervix is dilated with a curret, The baby is cut into pieces and then extracted. Every part of abortion is very disturbing to me, and it's amazing to me that people can be so apathetic about it. My mother told me about when she was pregnant with me all the time. She would read me stories, she would sing songs to me, and she craved strawberries like crazy. To her, I was a person the moment she found out she was pregnant with me. But our society is beginning to have selective moral fiber. They are more than willing to aid the underprivileged abroad and at home, and are just itching to scream injustice, yet they can turn a blind eye to such an enormous injustice here and around the world. And it's our responsibility to step up and speak for those who can't speak for themselves. The second common pro-abortion belief is that fetuses are incapable of feeling pain during most abortion procedures. With the exception of some medical abortions, this is false. As I've already mentioned, a lot of surgical abortions are barbaric. And then at 20 weeks gestation, which is halfway to full term, doctors have concluded that babies can indeed feel pain. This is a developmental stage where the sensation of pain develops. The sensation of touch. Nicholas Fisk showed that fetuses as young as 18 weeks react to an invasive procedure with a spike in stress hormones and a shunting of blood flow toward the brain. This is seen also in adults and newborn infants. This is how the body reacts when it feels that a vital organ is being threatened. However, not all the abortions that happen in this time frame only account for 4%. The majority of abortions take place prior to 9 weeks of development, and most of these are done through a medical abortion, using drugs. Methotrexate, which has not been approved by the FDA yet, is still in use. Mifepristone, and then with conjunction with misoprostol. These first two drugs separate the embryo from the uterine lining, and then misoprostol induces labor, expelling the embryo. The belief behind all this is that the fetus cannot feel any of this. However, professionals have not reached a consensus. There is a study that shows that in weeks, there is a lot of neurobiological development happening in week 7, week 18, and week 26. And it's during these periods of time that it is believed that fetuses have some type of development that allows them to feel pain. However, pain can be a relative thing, and it's seen in all forms. So with that, the third topic that I'll be discussing is the common pro-abortion belief that women who receive abortions are less likely to suffer mental problems than those who are denied them. This is simply untrue. And by feeding this information to women who are considering having an abortion is a huge injustice to them. They are going into this thinking that they're surrounded by professionals and trusting their health to them, when in return they're being dispelled half-truths. So I'm going to share with you a testimony of a woman who did receive an abortion. After the first abortion, I did get more depressed. I developed an angry character. I became very violent. The second, I really didn't notice a change. By the third, I had a really low self-esteem, and after the fourth, I became extremely promiscuous and self-destructive. Throughout the years, with each abortion, I became more and more depressed and gained more and more weight. Each story that we see from abortion is a sobering reminder of the effect that it has on women. Trudy Johnson, a family and marriage therapist, says that the women that come to her after receiving an abortion, the time frame that she sees for them to fully process the emotion and come to grips with the grief that goes along with it is about 15 years after the fact. So regardless if the woman is fully confident in her decision or if she's completely regretful of it, there are consequences: mental, physical, emotional. And both types of women are seen in hospitals every day. My aunt has been a nurse in a hospital for 25 years. I spoke with her about this topic. She was enormously adamant about this topic. She said most of the women that come into the hospitals choose abortion due to depression and the loss of a relationship. Unfortunately, they reason that since this man didn't want me, I must be worthless and the baby would be better off. But after having the abortion, the women come back and they grieve that baby years later. I would like to emphasize the fact, though, that nothing is black and white. These are not bad women. Most of them come from poor backgrounds, abusive households that didn't have unconditional love and support. They usually can't see past their next paycheck. And I know that that type of lifestyle of unconditional love and support requires sacrifice. But isn't it worth 9 months of sacrifice on your part to ensure that your child, the little person you created, has the chance to experience that? So I've refuted the idea that personhood begins after birth and not at conception. I have refuted the idea that fetuses are incapable of feeling pain. And I have refuted the idea that women who receive abortions are less likely to have mental health issues than those who are denied them. I refute these because they are inaccurate, half-truths, and misleading. A few years ago, a woman came and spoke to my youth group. She shared her testimony with us. When she was 21 years old, she half-heartedly received an abortion. She said that when she went into the operating room, the technicians did not treat her as a human. They treated her in a very mechanic way. After she left, she felt a tear formed in her heart. A void was there where her baby once dwelt. She has spent her life traveling, sharing her testimony in the hopes of saving lives and of saving souls. I hope my time with you today has convinced you to reconsider what you thought was true about abortions.